When Hollywood first set its sights on China, the excitement was electric. Studios saw 1 billion new potential viewers, a chance to break records, and a way to turn even mediocre movies into global blockbusters. The red carpet was rolled out, and the world's biggest stars lined up for premieres in Beijing and Shanghai. Welcome to Why You Should Care. This is part 1 in our 3-part series, Bowing to Beijing, How China Decides What You Read, Watch, and Believe. In this series, we'll pull back the curtain on how China's power reaches deep into Hollywood, newsrooms, and digital entertainment. We'll expose the deals, the pressure campaigns, and the chilling effect that's changing what you see and what you never get to see. So, why should you care? Because this isn't just about censorship in a distant country. It's about how that censorship reaches into your daily life. Hollywood, your favorite news outlets, and even your social media feeds are quietly filtering what you see, not based on truth or freedom, but based on what Beijing allows. When foreign governments can influence what you read, watch, and believe without you realizing it, that's not just censorship, it's control, and you're not supposed to notice. In 2012, China overtook Japan to become the world's second largest film market. By 2023, Chinese audiences were spending over $9 billion a year at the movies, and projections suggest China could soon surpass the US entirely. For Hollywood, this isn't a side market, it's the future. But access comes with strings attached. Since 1994, China has enforced a strict film import quota. Today, only 34 foreign films per year are allowed under the revenue sharing model. The rest, if they get in at all, are sold for a flat fee, often pennies on the dollar. It's a gatekeeping tool, giving Chinese authorities enormous leverage over what the world's most powerful studios can show to 1.4 billion people. And the financial terms are even more revealing. In most countries, studios keep 40 to 55% of box office revenue. In China, that number drops to just 25%. The rest is split between Chinese distributors and the government. In 2019, Avengers Endgame grossed $629 million in China, but Disney only saw about $157 million of that. Studios are willing to accept these terms because the upside is tremendous. Transformers: Age of Extinction made more money in China than in the United States. In fact, the film's producers added Chinese actors, product placements, and entire scenes set in Beijing and Hong Kong, all to maximize its appeal to Chinese audiences and regulators. The influence of China on Hollywood reaches deep into the creative process itself, shaping what stories get told and how. This is the era of preemptive self-censorship, where studios and filmmakers modify scripts, casting, and entire storylines before a single frame is shot, all to avoid offending Chinese authorities. In Marvel's Doctor Strange, the character known as the Ancient One was originally Tibetan, a detail that would have guaranteed a ban in China, where the government is hypersensitive about Tibetan sovereignty. The solution? Cast Tilda Swinton, a white British actress, and erase any reference to Tibet. Marvel's screenwriter, C. Robert Cargill, later admitted, "If you acknowledge that Tibet is a place and that he's Tibetan, you risk alienating 1 billion people." Post-production edits for the Chinese market have become routine. In Men in Black 3, a scene set in New York's Chinatown was cut entirely for Chinese audiences, reportedly because it depicted Chinese characters in a negative light. The self-censorship machine is now a permanent fixture in Hollywood's playbook, quietly shaping the stories that reach audiences around the world. To see the true reach of China's influence over Hollywood, you have to look at the films and the people who have bent or even broken to fit Beijing's expectations. These aren't isolated incidents, they're a pattern, and the stories behind them are as revealing as any box office statistic. Take a look at Top Gun: Maverick. In the original 1986 film, Tom Cruise's iconic bomber jacket featured patches of the Taiwanese and Japanese flags. But in the 2022 sequel's first trailer, those flags were replaced with ambiguous symbols. The reason? The film's Chinese co-financier, Tencent, was involved in production. After public backlash in the US, the original flags were quietly restored for the final release, but only after Tencent pulled out as an investor, reportedly due to political sensitivities. China's influence doesn't stop at the script or the edit bay. In 2021, John Cena, star of Fast and Furious 9, called Taiwan a country during a promotional interview. The backlash in China was immediate and fierce. Within days, Cena posted a video apology on Weibo, China's largest social media platform, speaking in fluent Mandarin.
你好，中国，这是叫西呢，我爱更尊重。 中国跟中国人，我很抱歉，对我的错误，对不起，我很抱歉。
The apology was widely mocked in the West, but it was a clear signal to Chinese authorities and audiences. Even global celebrities are expected to toe the line or risk losing access to the world's largest movie market. As The Guardian put it, it's a chilling reminder that even global celebrities are not immune to Beijing's red lines. Other projects, like adaptations of novels critical of Chinese policy or scripts featuring sensitive topics like Hong Kong protests or Uyghur prison camps, are quietly abandoned before they're ever announced. The industry term for this is anticipatory compliance. Studios don't wait for a no from Beijing. They preemptively erase anything that might cause trouble. As PEN America put it in a 2020 report, the most effective censorship is the kind you never see because the story was never told. The chilling effect is real, and it's not just reshaping what Hollywood produces, but what the world is allowed to imagine. When Bohemian Rhapsody, the story of Queen frontman Freddie Mercury, was released in China in 2019, censors scrubbed any scenes that alluded to Mercury's sexuality or the AIDS crisis. Those scenes aren't minor details. They represent the entire premise of the movie, a gay man who dies from AIDS. It's like removing all references of a sinking ship from the Titanic. According to The Hollywood Reporter, at least 3 minutes of footage were cut out, including scenes of Mercury kissing another man, reference to his AIDS diagnosis, and even a brief shot of drag queens. The result was a sanitized version of Mercury's life that erased his identity as a gay man and downplayed the devastating impact of the AIDS epidemic. The clearest recent example of how far studios will go to placate Beijing is the 2023 Barbie movie controversy. In a brief scene, a hand-drawn world map behind Barbie shows an oddly curved U-shape in the South China Sea, China's infamous 9-line. First, it's important to understand what is the 9-line. It was first sketched by China in the 1940s. It loops around roughly 90% of the South China Sea. It overlaps the exclusive economic zones claimed by Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and Indonesia. The sea holds an estimated 11 billion barrels of oil, 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, and a third of all global shipping traffic. A 2016 permanent court of arbitration ruling in The Hague found China's claim has no legal basis. Beijing, of course, ignored the decision. Chinese Coast Guard vessels routinely harass local fishermen and build military outposts on contested reefs. Hollywood knows exactly how sensitive that map is. In 2019, DreamWorks' animated film Abominable was yanked from Vietnamese, Philippine, and Malaysian theaters for depicting the same 9-line. The backlash was widely reported. 4 years later, Barbie repeated the image, this time in a mega-budget film Warner Brothers hoped to screen in China. Warner Brothers claimed the doodle was a childlike crayon drawing with no intended meaning. But Vietnamese censors banned the film, and the Filipino foreign minister lodged a formal protest. Every time a global blockbuster treats the 9-line as uncontroversial, it nudges audiences towards accepting Beijing's narrative. That erodes Southeast Asian claims in the court of public opinion. It also enables soft power projection. Maps are political weapons. For China, a 2-second cameo in a pink fantasy film advances a decades-long sovereignty campaign. So I'll ask again, why should you care? Because we are watching the slow collapse of creative independence under the weight of Chinese censorship. When powerful studios, celebrities, and companies cave to a foreign regime's demands while remaining silent about genocide, surveillance, and suppression, we lose more than just stories. We lose our moral compass. We lose our voice. And the longer we allow it, the more irreversible it becomes. So what can you do? Look up which studios and brands have partnerships with Chinese state-linked companies. Make it a habit to check which films, shows, or influencers have removed or altered content for Chinese markets. Post about it. Share what was censored. If you're a creator or journalist, refuse the compromise. The more we shine a light on what's being erased, the harder it becomes to erase it quietly. If this episode made you question how free your media really is, good, that's the point. But I don't have the full picture. If you've worked in media, studied propaganda, or have examples I missed, leave them in the comments. I respond to all of them. The best insights will be featured in a Q&A or follow-up episode. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share this with someone who still thinks censorship is only happening in dictatorships. Find me at Why You Should Care Now on all platforms, or reach out directly at info@whyyousshouldcarenow.com. Full breakdowns and bonus content are at whyyousshouldcarenow.com. It's time to stop trusting headlines and start thinking for ourselves.